it's Janelle Waz, and welcome back to another episode of Waz Reviews. Farming. It's a simple life. Until someone tries to demolish your home to build an amusement park. That's the basic plot of Harvest Moon Save the Homeland. Now this Harvest Moon game isn't the most conventional Harvest Moon game, and it's a bit of an outlier in the franchise, but nevertheless, it was still my very first Harvest Moon game. And yes, probably like a lot of people out there, I saw this game and was like, a farming game? But then as the hours and days went by of continually planting potatoes, corn, tomatoes, and breadfruit, yeah, how many people played this game to discover that breadfruit was a thing? I became the person I am today who says, a farming game? Oh heck yes. But after my 20 plus years of playing Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons, playing multiple games across how many systems, how well does Save the Homeland hold up? Is it a good game? Is it even worth getting today, whether on PS2 or the PlayStation Store? Well, it's not every day that we get to defend our homestead from greedy amusement park owners, but today we are in Harvest Moon Save the Homeland. But before I go any further, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I talk a lot about Star Trek, video games, and whatever else I feel like talking about. Be great to have you aboard. We are this guy, the man with toy written on his hat. Let's call him Jack. We just got a letter from Dad that Grandpa has passed away and left us a farm. And what a farm! Sure, it's a little fixer-upper, but fresh coat of paint, it's alright. And we got it for free! A one-bedroom house that's furnished free. Too bad though, because the town's going to be demolished in a year to make way for an amusement park. Damn eminent domain. No more empty barn, no more dusty chicken coop, no more old and musty chest, no more Grandpa's notes, the last thing we have left of Grandpa? Besides the farm, of course. Even Grandpa's old TV that could break the table if we set it down wrong? No more sprites outside my door? Wait, sprites outside my door?
Well, don't look so distraught.
Well, it's finally happened, hasn't it? I've lost my mind.
Have you lost your mind?
Well, time to put these figments of my imagination to rest. Oh crap, they're real! These are the Harvest Sprites. They also live here and are in trouble of losing their home if the forest and lake disappear. Like, forest, okay, I get that. You cut down the trees and use the lumber for something. It's understandable. But fill in an entire lake? Like, why? And who the hell is paying for all this? My taxes are gonna go up, aren't they?
We beg you, stop them from building the theme park here.
We need your help to protect this place. Well, I'm sold. Let's do it for my property and wallet! I mean this place, of course. This place and nature and stuff.
Nature decays, but Latinum lasts forever.
And arriving before anyone has a chance to twist my arm is the Harvest Goddess, who lives at the Harvest Goddess Lake. And she gives you a personality test, which is pretty easy to figure out what she wants to hear. A puppy abandoned in the rain? Well, clearly I'm taking him home. Someone throws trash on the ground? Clearly I track them down and make them pay.
Oh no, Bette Midler.
Nah, I just pick it up. Found someone else's money on the ground? Honestly, this one could go either way, but you know what she wants you to say. This is no time to let my inner Ferengi do the talking. Turn it in!
Which brings to mind the 33rd rule of acquisition. It
never hurts to suck up to the boss.
And apparently I did such a good job on this quiz that I'm too good to be true! So the Harvest Goddess drops a whole bunch of responsibility on me. I'm destined to save this land. It's fate! And after telling me to talk with the townspeople to come up with the plan, she and the Harvest Sprites lead me to it. Okay, so we have this entire town to save, but this is still a Harvest Moon game. We have to restore Grandpa's farm. Sure, the farm could be gone in about a year, but we still have to make money, and we need to run a farm to get money. Now, one of the things that would make this a good Harvest Moon game for beginners is that the farming is fairly simple compared to other Harvest Moon games. Don't get me wrong though, there are other things that don't make this game good for beginners, but if you want to understand the basic structure of a Harvest Moon game without being overwhelmed, this isn't a bad place to start. Most Harvest Moon games have a variety of crops to choose from, but they can only be planted in certain seasons, which can be a little overwhelming and require strategy and planning. In Save the Homeland, on the other hand, while you only have 4 crops to choose from, they can grow in any season except winter. And sure, if you're a veteran Harvest Moon player, this can sound like a letdown, but for someone like me who got into Harvest Moon through Save the Homeland, it helped me get a handle on the basic mechanics of the series. Your crop choices are potatoes, tomatoes, corn, and breadfruit, and you plant the seeds in your 8 fields. Till the soil, plant the seeds, and water. It's pretty standard Harvest Moon fare. Potatoes have to be replanted after harvest, but you can keep harvesting tomatoes, corn, and breadfruit continually, sometimes for years. But Waz, you have to save the homeland in 1 year. What do you mean years? I'll get to all that. While you are given 8 fields to plant your crops, I usually only use about half the fields and get a decent income out of them. You'll have to individually water these crops, which takes up a decent chunk of time, so you don't want to overplant. Yeah, one of the downsides of this game is that you can't upgrade most of your tools, with the exception of the sickle. What I wouldn't give for a golden watering can about now. But on the other hand, you don't need to plant nearly as many crops as in other Harvest Moon games, so probably not as bad as it sounds. And once those crops are ready for harvest, it's payday! Eventually, you'll be earning so much money from crops that you'll just buy 100 sandwiches just for the hell of it! Started from the bottom, and now we're here. Growing crops isn't the only thing you can do on your farm to earn money. After all, you have a dusty chicken coop and empty barn to fill. You can purchase chickens and cows for your farm, which will provide you with a steady income of eggs and milk every day, provided you take care of them. And taking care of your animals is pretty simple. Let them out on sunny days, bring them in on rainy days, make sure they're getting food, talk to them, brush them, you know, the usual. Fans of the series may notice the absence of sheep in this game, but honestly, I can live with that. I'm not the biggest fan of sheep in Harvest Moon, largely because they don't provide you with wool daily, so I don't miss them. Of course, this is before the era of bells to automatically call your animals inside, so if a rainy day's a-comin', you'll have to manually bring your animals in. Chickens aren't too bad, you just pick them up and place them inside your chicken coop. Cows, on the other hand, sure, you can talk to them and they'll follow you for a little bit, but when you have to push them, they go off in every direction except forward. It's just harder than it needs to be. I shouldn't be up half the night pushing my cows inside so they don't get mad at me when they get rained on. Chickens and cows aren't the only animals you can keep on your farm, though. There are some animals that you just can't buy. By putting food out in the dog bowl, you'll eventually befriend man's best friend and adopt him. Now, not only is your dog a cute addition to the farm, but you can train him to do tricks, and he'll even help you out with one of the endings. And now, a message from Waz. So, remember when I said you had to manually push your cows into the barn? Well, if you get the flute, you can actually train your dog to herd the cows for you. Of course, I only remembered that feature after I was done playing this game. Kids, don't be me. Save yourself the headache and train your dog. We now return to the review. Now every kid wants 2 things in their life. A dog and a pony.
And those kids who had their own ponies.
Oh, I know, I hated those kids.
And now you can fulfill all your childhood dreams of having your very own pony. You'll get a horse for one of the game's endings, but besides the game-winning capabilities, the horse makes getting around town a heck of a lot easier, saving you one of the most precious commodities in Harvest Moon: time. Trust me, befriending your horse is time well spent, and you can get so much more done in a day when you can cut down on travel time. Now, one of the features in Harvest Moon is the ability to expand your farm, usually by building a bigger barn, bigger chicken coop, maybe even a hothouse. Save the Homeland, however, only has 2 expansions, a doghouse and a house expansion that includes a kitchen, toilet, and shower. No expansions for your chicken coop or barn. And that's one of the flaws of this game. Not only is there less to expand, but once you make those 2 big purchases, which aren't that hard to do, there's really not much to spend your money on. You end up accumulating more money than you know what to do with, and while most Harvest Moon games reach that point, I feel like I reached that point a lot sooner in this game. Excessive wealth breeds boredom, which explains why I do things like buying 100 sandwiches or 100 pots of honey. It's because I can. And I'm too guilt-ridden to quit farming altogether. I'll never sell my virtual animals. I'll just keep collecting those eggs and milk. I'll even water my fields because I'm socially obligated to. What else am I supposed to do in this game? I can't even get married!
I ain't never getting married.
But as with any other Harvest Moon game, farming is only part of what you do in this game. There's a whole town to explore, characters to befriend, and of course, money to be made. In order to make money, you'll need to go to the individual shops and sell your items, which is different from the typical shipping bins in most Harvest Moon games. And honestly, I don't hate it even though it's not as convenient as a shipping bin. I like walking around this town, I like seeing the different characters and talking to them, and maybe even most importantly, I get the cash right away. If I'm short on money for something like, let's say animal medicine, I can quickly run into another store and sell some items to get the money, as opposed to waiting until 5 o'clock for my items to be shipped and then the stores have already closed. And there are some nice little shops around town. The grocery store, the tool shop, the flower shop, the brownie ranch, the carpenters, even a cafe bar. Heck, there's even a fancy villa that'll buy produce from me. They may be too lazy to go to the farmer's market, but the farmer's market can go to them. As you're roaming around town, you'll run into your fellow residents who also don't want to lose their homes. Heck, the game even tells you right off the bat to befriend them to fulfill your destiny of saving this place. This is no time to be a hermit! There are 9 different ways to save the Homeland, each requiring that you befriend certain characters and trigger cutscenes at certain times to move the story along. And once you complete an ending, the game encourages you to play again to pursue different endings. Once you complete an ending, the game starts over from the first day with all your money, items, crops, and animals. Though the townspeople don't know you anymore and you'll have to rebuild your friendships.
You mean we could have come into this room, sat at this table, and had this conversation a dozen times already?
A dozen, 100. It's impossible to tell.
Heck, after going through so many endings, I feel like I could just buy the entire town and let everyone stay here. Why isn't this an option?
We did it! The station's done!
But sadly, my fabulous wealth isn't enough, so we'll have to complete the endings anyways. With my 100 sandwiches. The endings usually go one of 2 ways. Someone winning a contest and saving the town as the next place the contest will take place the following year, or preserving it as a nature reserve. And to be honest, I didn't go through each ending for this review, though I have been through each ending at least once over the years, except for the second treasure hunt ending, which, for the life of me, I could never activate. For the most part, as long as you're befriending the right characters and triggering the cutscenes at the right time, the game isn't too difficult, though some parts aren't super obvious. I admit that I had a guide within reach while playing this game, though you can get hints from the other townspeople and even the Harvest Goddess on where to go next. I started off with the horse race for a couple of different reasons. For one thing, you do part-time work to develop a friendship with the horses, which will not only yield you a horse in about 2 weeks' time, but will help supplement your income and even get you some free milk, so it's a win-win. One day, this manly hunk of muscles named Bob stops by the farm and gives me a horse to train. He trusts me. I named my horse after Starfleet's greatest horseman, Picard.
And most serious riders do have their own saddles.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Okay, Picard, let's ride.
No!
Yeah, you won't be able to ride your horse right away. You'll need to build up friendship with him before he'll let you ride, and even then, he'll only walk until you build up more friendship to make him run.
Engage.
But that's alright, Bob's got my back and he believes in me. Anyone could get on a horse. What counts is being able to make the horse run. You know, Gwen is one of my favorite characters in this game, but she's really tough to like in this ending. Oh, don't worry about it. Just work at it. Always have my back, Bob. So after brushing Picard's hair, training him to race, and even bribing the Harvest Goddess to get him to like me more, sometimes unsuccessfully, Bob will stop by for a race. Of course, guess who also wants to race? And luckily, if you lose to either Gwen or Bob, you can re-challenge them to another race. And the racing minigame, it's alright. The annoying thing is you have to turn the corners very sharply, otherwise you'll lose a lot of ground and lose the race. But once you beat Gwen, she becomes a heck of a lot nicer. She's even worried about Picard! Letting Picard smell this might help some. This is just a bunch of Earl Grey!
This is Earl Grey. I'd swear that it was Darjeeling.
Now, unfortunately, you don't compete in the big race, which is kinda disappointing. Bob takes your horse one day, and the next, you've won. A little anticlimactic to be sure, but the post-credits scene does end with a race between the three horse buddies. Which, of course, I smoked them all! Okay, Gwen was kind of a jerk in the last one. So, this time, let's date her!
Why does she strike him?
She likes him.
Yes, the Harvest Sprites have woken me up because they've been attacked by a weasel. But it turns out that that weasel is an endangered species and is named Snowball. And Gwen's apparently adopted him or something? So the Harvest Goddess gets the idea to exploit Snowball to save the Homeland. Or at least that's how Gwen would put it. She spends most of the ending saying, "Oh no, we can't, we'll be exploiting him." Which in reality, all you really need to do is take a picture of him. She doesn't even have a good argument. She basically says people will try to catch him and make money off him. Yeah, but have you considered that, one, if this town is gone, then he'll have no place to live and die, and two, that if this town is protected, there will be laws and fines in place so he'll be left alone? Did you ever think of that, Gwen? But I just butter Gwen up with some homemade jam, and it's not long before Mr. Sexy Farmer here charms her to do the very thing she's been fighting against and take a picture of Snowball. I mean, it can't be any more scandalous than the late night talks we've been having. What kind of girls do guys like? A girl has to be cute and shy and stuff, I guess. Well, not that I'm a guy, but I imagine it depends. Thanks for your useless opinion! What'd I say? But who am I kidding? She likes him. I love to see a guy who's working hard. I'm not talking about anyone in particular, it's just my general opinion. Yeah, and it's my general opinion that Chakotay and Resolutions had it going on.
Damn.
It feels like we've been together for a long time, but it hasn't even been a year. It hasn't even been a month, lady! But hey, that photo was enough to preserve the town as a nature reserve for Snowball. And sure, Gwen's still questioning about whether she did the right thing. He's going to be fine! Yes, he'll be okay with being protected by humans. But at least our hardworking farmer gets a kiss out of it. Heck, why stop at weasels, silverfish, bluebirds? There's even a butterfly that can save this land.
Nobody ever suspects the butterfly.
The Azure Swallowtail ending involves you working with a couple of plant experts, Parsley, clever name, and Lila, the cute flower store owner, to plant a blue mist flower that will attract a rare butterfly. Of course, Lila has another motive for working with Parsley.
Because of you, I was able to talk with Parsley. Oh, today is just like a dream. My favorite hobby is baking, heart, and, being in love?
That's not a hobby, lady!
Maybe that's not a real hobby.
Even Gwen can't figure her out. Yeah, I knew it. You're not distressed. You're just crazy. But after the flower blooms, Parsley goes out of town. And Lila's going to follow him?
I'm going after him. I'm going to tell him my feelings.
Honey, if plant men are your thing, you're staring at one right now! Open your eyes, Lila!
No.
No, really, girl, don't go.
No.
Alright, fine. Just leave me here staring at butterflies!
The bride was really pretty.
Oh, honey. Your life just turned into an Alanis Morissette song, didn't it?
They were having the wedding when I got there to tell him how I feel.
It's meeting the man of your dreams, and then meeting his beautiful wife. And isn't it ironic?
Don't you think?
So Parsley isn't there for her anymore. In fact, he was never interested in her because he had a fiancé somewhere. But you know whose bare farmer arms are there for Lila? This guy. And while all this is going on, the butterfly flew away before a picture could be taken. Oh, we are so screwed. Well, it turns out that good old Louis from the tool shop has us covered. He snapped a picture before the butterfly went away. Louis, I may have stolen your girl, but thanks for having our back. The town, which I guess is called Sugar Village, the game barely mentions the town's name, is designated as a reserve for the endangered butterfly. Lila is home, happy, and has her strong, handsome farmer, and Louis is alone. Of course, I could keep talking about the different endings, but that's basically Harvest Moon Save the Homeland. And after all these years, after playing so many different Harvest Moon games, I always come back to this one. Is it the best Harvest Moon game? Probably not. Do I have a bias towards it? Oh, most definitely. It was my first Harvest Moon game. Does it lack certain features that are standard in Harvest Moon? Yes, but nevertheless, I still come back to it. I love that Save the Homeland is more story-based than other Harvest Moon games. I don't mind the simplified game mechanics. I like the game's stylized graphics. I like this town enough to care about saving it. There are even stakes in this game, which isn't typical of Harvest Moon. You can lose if you don't come up with a way to save the town within a year. The characters are unique and getting to know them is fun. Where some Harvest Moon characters I end up forgetting over time, I still remember these characters years later. They have distinctive designs that just stay in my memory. But of course, the game does have its shortcomings. Sure, there are some minor control issues, but the one thing that everyone brings up is the lack of a marriage system. Though there is romance for some of the endings, you can't get married in this game, which is a staple in Harvest Moon. I do argue that a marriage system wouldn't make much sense in Save the Homeland. After all, you marry your sweetie, the game resets, and she doesn't even remember who you are anymore. But the absence of the marriage system is nevertheless felt. Granted, the game's remake, Hero of Leaf Valley for PSP, does work marriage into it reasonably well, though it's still not without its problems. At the end of the day, Save the Homeland is a worthy Harvest Moon game, though parts of it can be a little challenging for the newcomer, namely activating certain cutscenes to achieve the different endings. But if you're new to Harvest Moon and don't mind a little challenge, then definitely give Save the Homeland a try. Heck, even if you're not new to Harvest Moon and haven't played this game, give it a try. Maybe you too are destined to save the Homeland. So what do you think? Have you played Harvest Moon Save the Homeland? Did you love it? Did you hate it? How does it compare to the other Harvest Moon games? Do you like more story-based Harvest Moon games, or do you prefer the ones that let you have a little more free reign? And what are some of your favorite farming sims? Please leave comments below and discuss. And if you're interested in getting started in Save the Homeland and want some tips, check out my beginner's tips video as well. As always, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Waz Reviews. If you like what you see, why not give my video a like and subscribe to my channel? Tell your friends! Until next time...
This is my house. I have to defend it.